Good morning, good morning, good morning on that wonderful rock rift. Hope you're awake. Hope it's not too early for that kind of music. And I'm on the Surprise Me channel, so we're going to go who knows where, right, with the music today. Not a biggie, it's in the background. And it's so different. I'm back. My face is here. The last 2 days I have done the meditative spinning, and of course my face isn't on there. I don't talk. Actually, the mic is muted. If I happen to talk, you're not going to hear it, but that's neither here nor there, right? So I hope you've had a chance to catch those, and don't worry if you don't have time to go see the ones that are on my Twitch channel, the video on demand, because they're very, very similar. And the video on demand is not the point to them. The point is to each day that I do it, give you 30 minutes of a time to meditate, whatever that means to you. You know, to focus, to be quiet, to relax, to close your eyes for a while or whatever. And all it's going to really involve is you're going to hear music and you're going to see but not hear my spinning wheel. As the fiber flows from my fingers, I'm focusing mostly on my hands. 30 minutes is quick. I am very, very surprised. The first one I did, it was my first one, right? I was like focused on the actual production of it. The next one I did, the next day, was surprisingly exactly what I needed, which is that exactly what I'm trying to give you, right? The timeout, a little bit of focus, just pay attention to the fiber, which is what I'm doing. You're paying attention to whatever you need at that point during that 30 minutes. So it's a keeper. I'm going to be doing it. Don't worry about catching any of them. They're going to be very, very similar. Every once in a while, I'll be using a different spinning wheel or different fiber or whatever. But for me, it is actually 30 minutes of pure spinning time for whatever project I'm spinning on. The point is not the production of the single. The point is this pause in your life. Turns out I really like it and I really need it, and I'm doing this just as much for me as for you, but I'm glad to share this little bit of what I can do. Anyway, happy Wednesday, hump day. We're going to work with fiber today instead of spinning, because I've just decided that it's been too hot to sit out on my porch and take care of the fiber that I need to take care of to get ready for more spinning, right? And that this might be interesting for you all to see. I'm going to be working with a Shetland fleece, and it was a fleece that I bought this spring when we went to the only fiber fair I have been to for 2 years, right? As it turns out, it looks like I'm not going to be going to any more this year either, mostly because of the obligations I have as far as traveling down to my mom's house and that sort of thing. And my goodness, the year is rapidly disappearing. I know we're only halfway, but still, we're halfway. And so there are things to do yet during this year. I don't think there was anything else I was going to talk about. Let me get to where we're going to work. You like my butterflies? I like my butterflies. Nothing there. But it says Shetland fiber. So this fleece drew my attention because it was Shetland to begin with. And it just looked wonderful sitting there, all in its lanolin glory, right? And it was black and white. And I'm like, oh, yin yang, that is just so cool. And I love black Shetland. I don't know if you've ever worked with black or a dark Shetland, but I have, and I love that resulting yarn, especially if you can spin it thin lace weight. So I bought it. I've washed it. And I am now to the step where it's clumped together from washing, and the black, which was easy to pull away. Oh, that was an interesting flash. The black part was easy to pull away after I washed it and put it all in a bag. And so I have that in a bag. And the white was, what was left wasn't really white, right? It had little bits of gray, it had some black or whatever. And so I'm doing two things still before I'm ready to comb this fiber. One, I need to take that white, which is what we're going to work on today. I'm halfway done, and get the true white, and anything that's left over I'm putting into a bag that's just going to get drum carded together and make a, Tweety marled with gray, a little bit of black, mostly white bats to spin. I have mostly black fiber. I have second to most probably going to be the white that I get off, and third is going to be this little bit. So this little bit probably isn't going to be spun in the same way or spun as part of a project. I don't know. It might be that I put all three together. Way too soon to decide on that. The only reason I'm saying it might not be is because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to pull top from that combination. I'm going to do a bat, and that does make a different type of yarn. So that is the logic between why it probably won't go with the project. So let me show you you're going to hear lots of rustling of bags today. I've got tons of bags all over here. So this is all the fiber. And as soon as I said the black doesn't have any white, I'm wrong. See this right here? Oh, well, that's loose. That was just stuck in there. But on the whole, most of it is black, and you have this occasional little bit of white and a little bit of gray, and that's going to have to come out when I pick it open. You can see there's vegetable matter in there, and what I really have to take care of when I do this, like I'm doing with the white, is find the locks. All right, so I want to be able to pull these locks off like this, and believe it or not, that is an entire lock. It is huge. This will, when I pull these locks out, they all get combed and spun as a lock. That is actually a different, that is actually the same process as if you're spinning top. The single that you get from spinning a lock and the single you get from spinning top is going to be the same. And that's because you spin both linearly, right, straight out. When you spin a lock, after combing, you start here and you just pull and pull and pull until the lock is gone, but you're not mixing those fibers up at all, and so it makes the worsted yarn, and it's not distinguishable if you spin it from a lock or you spin it from top. So I am going to pull locks out because I love spinning locks. They're just amazing to spin. And then the rest of it I will put through my combs, and I'll use my big combs because these are good and long. That staple length is amazing. I mean, that is just amazing. Good morning, Tantel. It's beautiful. I love this, but this is only half of it. The other half is white, and that's what's coming up here. So that's all washed and ready for me to pull locks off and pick, and I'm going to do that after I do the white. So I have a bag that it's got white in it, but like I said, hello, Nemi, how are you? I love your it's a penguin, isn't it, or bird? That's so cute. See, there's lots of mixture. This is what I'm going to drum card, and it's going to be that too is going to be a beautiful yarn. But it's a completely different project from the, it'll get spun woolen. So I have that bag. I have a bag that I have so far pulled out white locks. And these, you can see the crimp better. Look at the crimp on that. Yes, it's a penguin. Oh, those are so cute. I like the ones with heart eyes. Of course, I like the smiling one too. Welcome. We're talking about a Shetland fiber that I'm not going to be spinning today because there's things you got to do before you spin it, and that's what I'm working on. But the white locks are even longer. I think the white was on the back. I did not ever see this sheep, right? I bought the fiber without seeing the sheep, and I wish I could have, because I would love to have seen where the black was and the white was and everything. But that's an amazing lock. And I have a small bag of that I've been pulling off the white. And then this is what the white looks like that I'm working on. And I'm just going to first show you the white and black together. This is what it would, if I can, you can hardly see the black in the camera there, right? The black's over here. Look at that, you can hardly see it. This is what it looked like when I bought it, only it was not washed. And it's, this is all washed and everything. So anyway, I am currently working on this to get this little parts out and get as much of the pure white as I can, get locks and that sort of thing, and that's what I'm going to work on today. I have a lot of work to do because I'm going to have to do the black, and there's a lot of it. A full handled paper sack. I haven't weighed any of this. Now this, like I said, this has been washed, and you can see it's not felted. It's just clumped together a little bit. And so the best way to handle this, usually I do this outside, and it's just been so hot that, and I also thought it's been a long time since I've shown, the process of dealing with washed fiber on a stream, that I would go ahead and do it. So the first thing I do is see if I can pull any of these locks out. As I do that, I gradually open up the, but it's gotta tug quite a bit. And get it wherever it's attached there at the base. It's not going to come out. I am surprised that I'm going to do it this way. Not try and pull so far back. That it is as compacted as it is, because I just put it in multiple either soapy or rinses, and I think what compacted it some is I have a sprayer hose. A sprayer attachment. My faucet will make a spray, and a lot of times when I'm trying to get the soap out of it, I use that sprayer, and I think that might be part of why it got compacted. So we're just going to open this up a little bit like this, then I can work with it better. Now, this kind of lock, see, there's not a lot of width to it, and I don't try and spin those. Hello, Mass Bandit. I am good today. How are you? Are you doing all right? That's fine. 20 minutes, but I thought I'd drop by and visit. I'm so glad you did. I hope you have a good work day. And the reason this lock wasn't good, it was made up of little components of just very thin fiber, a shorter bit of fiber with a knot on it, and little shorts that would spin up into kind of bumps. So that's why when I go through all this, I do some selecting, right? I don't spin everything. I spin more than I probably should, to be honest with you, because I usually get some lumpy bumpy yarn, but anyway. The black does not feel as compacted as this. I am a little surprised at how much this is compacted. I hadn't really expected that. So this is called picking, and we're just gonna pick this off. I'm gonna get rid of things that I don't want to go into the yarn, and there's vegetable matter in there that I'm not too worried about getting out right now. That'll come out as I comb it with the combs. It just drops right out. So I end up with a nice handful like that. That's what I keep. Doesn't look like a lot of fiber, but you can believe that that spins a fair amount of length. It's surprising, really, when you have long staple like that and you're spinning the worsted, how far the fiber goes. See the little black trying to sneak in there? And see, it's a shortcut. It's a shortcut. That would show up as a speck in the yarn, and that's not bad if that was the plan, right? That's not the plan. There's some more. The only reason I'm sticking that there is so you can see what I'm pulling out. There's a lock. And I pulled off the shortcuts off of it. See if I can lay that right there for a little bit. Nemi, I do. Sometimes it's natural dye, and this has the colored on there, and so I'm putting that in that combination bag. So a natural dye like black walnut, sometimes it's what's called the acid dye, which makes your, traditional colors. An awful lot of times because I work with the colored, like the black and the browns and the grays, I don't. And so I have so much of that it's kind of nice to have the white without dyeing it. This is very time consuming. It's a relaxing process, but it is very time consuming, but it's absolutely worth the time, because anything you get out now that won't go into your fiber, into your spun yarn, is good, right? That's a good thing. All right, I had just put that into the white, and I see this. It's so surprising that the black is little short stuff, little tiny bits of black. I didn't even look to see if my hands were in the camera. Sorry, I just looked. I'm all right. I'm pretty generous with what I put into that bag that has, the multiple whites and whatever, because I think I'm going to really like that yarn, and I won't mind having something to make I won't have enough for a vest, but I'd have enough for hat and scarf, maybe some wonderful mittens, just any number of things like that. Nemi says, I want to get back into crafting. If everything works out, I'll get myself a workbench on Friday. And what is that for? It sounds like something like woodworking, or you tell me what that's for. So generally, this is my morning, early morning, not early, early, but 8 o'clock my time. Cup of coffee, sit on the porch, and do project. And I always have bags of stuff that has to have this done, and so it's just kind of an ongoing thing that I have this project to do. My porch is always a wonderful source of nesting material for the wild birds because I've got all this soft fiber. Do leather crafts. Okay, Nemi says I do leather crafting mostly, but really want to try a few other things. I want to sew some plushies for friends. Oh yeah, that's fun. And try to make stained glass. Stained glass, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. And a bit of woodworking to make an instrument. Well, you have great plans. You're going to have an awesome learning curve and lots of fun figuring out all these things. And do you know, I have done so many things over my life, but sewing is about the only one I can say I did. Haven't really done leather or wood or stained glass. When you live a long time and you do a lot of crafts, it feels like, oh, I've done it all. It's not true. There's a lot there that I haven't. So speaking of crafts, yesterday hubby and I went to our state fair, and of course I went and checked out the textile department where I have some skeins of yarn. Found those, found my competition, which all did better than me. There were only maybe seven spinners that entered. It's a small category, small amount of people that do it, but lovely yarn. Everybody did wonderful, and I wouldn't want to be the judge because I don't know how in the world they can decide, someone's skein of lovely yarn is better than the other person's skein of yarn that's lovely. So that was fun, and state fair is always fun. It's not just fair food. we're not really fair food people, and um, so we settled for a roasted ear of corn, which is really good, and a brat, which is something we do eat. We grill at home a lot of times. Walked around, saw all the agricultural displays, which is where they show the corn they've grown, and a lot of times it's 4-Hers. They show the soybeans, hay, and they show farm equipment and stuff like that. Big farming area here in Kentucky. Um, we did not go see the animals. Usually I do when the rabbits are there, but they are gone. There would have been sheep and goats, which was fine. We will do that Friday. We're going back Friday, so that we just didn't do it yesterday. Listen to music. They bring in free concerts and their local bands. So actually their bands, this band was they were celebrating their 60th year. I mean, that's pretty amazing, isn't it? Yeah, they were celebrating their 60th year. A friendly competition, of course. Yeah, I mean, it gets judged, but I don't usually even read the judging comments from the judge. I just like put it in there so people can see the yarns and know that spinning still exists. There is weaving. There is what else is in textiles? Cross stitch, needlepoint, knitting and crocheting, sewing, sewing quilts, and sewing non-quilts. And quilts is the biggest category. I am going to, in a couple days here, after I get them uploaded, and I'm going to put on Discord some of the quilts that won the top prizes because they're really, really amazing. For anybody that is not on my Discord, that should be an eternal link, so it should work. So quilting is a big thing. There's a large number of categories. So, you've got baby quilts, you've got full-size quilts, you've got pieced, you've got machine quilted, hand quilted. I mean, there's just tons of categories, and there's probably about 200 quilts that end up showing up at the fair each year. And that is probably the most competitive. I mean, that's a huge category to judge and pick one best of show, pick one winner of each category. That's a hard thing. Oh, speaking of that, just one. In the spinning, they have two other parts of that. One is dyeing the fiber, right? So they dye the fiber. And then the other one is make, knit, or crochet, or whatever, weave whatever with hand spun. And the item that you enter has to be made out of hand spun. And so I have entered those in the past. This year was not conducive for me to get things done in an entered. And so I didn't get anything in there. Normally I enter in the dyeing, and there was only one person, one braid. I'm going to put that in the Discord too. Very pretty, very well done. She got the blue ribbon because it was worth a blue ribbon. It was very pretty. But I was like, oh man, I wish I had gotten that entered. So much to do and so little time, it seems like. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Yes, the only thing that wasn't lovely was the heat. It was 98 degrees, and you're on mostly asphalt, right at the fairgrounds. Oof, it was hot. I am still getting gray in this white. It is getting pretty hard to separate out true white. Put these up. I'm sure I'm going to have the same problem with the black. But a little bit of white in the black is going to end up just looking a little lighter, grayer. So, not quite as bad as the black and the white. Maybe this is something to consider if you see a black and white fleece. I'm very, very used to Jacob fleece being different colors, and generally, I mean, I have separated the colors in the past, and I've spun the colors together. In the past, I like spinning it together more than separating, but I've never had a Shetland that was. I've either had a black Shetland or a white, or it just always was one color. Okay, Mass Bandit. Be safe. Take care. I'll see you whenever. Uh-oh. My tablecloth is falling off. Don't want that. Stay on there. Okay, I need to check this music that it's actually moving forward because it's sounding to me like the same thing over and over. I'll keep my eye on it here. This is like the little girl with the curl, if you know the nursery rhyme. When it was nice, it was very, very nice. And when it was bad, it was horrid. When it's all clumped together like that, it's not good. But when you just pull it apart, oh, it's just a cloud of fluff here. Very nice. Probably could spin it that way without even combing it, but I will comb it. Because I want as thin as I can get on this. Nobody says I should do some cross stitch again. I used to do that, but lost motivation. When I did a project for a gift of a friend, worked on it for months, and it got lost in the mail. Oh, yes. That's sad. Cross stitch takes an enormous amount of time. Oh, there it goes. Music's changing. Okay. Must have just been a long song. I do really tiny cross stitches like Christmas ornaments and that sort of thing. I like that. Yeah, talking about, hope it was a friendly competition. One thing I learned years ago, because I've been putting stuff in the state fair for years. And no, you didn't miss anything else. I stopped mid sentence there. I wanted to put this bag of white closer. I didn't put it very close to me. One of the things I learned years ago is you cannot be sensitive about what anybody says about your work. And I'm talking about more than just handspun. I'm talking about anything you create. The pure joy that you get for creating something is unjudgeable, and the whole real reason, right? It's not at all for somebody else to say, well, you should have done it this way. And in the competition, actually the judge almost has to say that in order to differentiate between why one person got a first, one person got a second, one, that sort of thing. They have to let you know what they were using as a criteria for giving you the place that you got. That's all well and good, but it doesn't mean anything to me because I probably would not have spun the yarn any different, nor would, a lot of people who created whatever they got judged. They made it that way on purpose, right? That was to the best of their ability. They were proud enough to put it in the fair, and all of that is the important part. So, when I encouraged my spinning friends locally one year, I kind of warned them about this. And, oh, yeah, okay, it's no big deal. I don't care what. But then once they put their yarn in, it was like they couldn't stand the fact that they thought their skein of yarn was the best and it wasn't judged that way. So you have to be thick-skinned. You have to make it for your own purpose and nothing else, right? There's nothing reward-wise except a couple dollars and a ribbon, right? It's not like you're going to sell this for a massive amount of money. That might make it more important that it's done well or whatever. But marketing is a totally different thing than just having it judged. So that's my little take on competitions. They're all well and good. And you take them with the grain of salt that they need. Salt helps everything. Salt helps everything. Yes. Nemi, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They look... Now, I'm guilty of not saying anything, but looking at things and saying to myself, I like that a lot. That is a cool idea. I could do that. I don't say that to the maker. I don't want to hear that as a maker, and they don't need to hear that as a maker, but I am very guilty of doing that, right? I get truly inspired when I go to craft markets and see things that people make. An example recently was I have grapevines and I make grapevine wreaths. And one of the things you can do, of course, is just decorate it and hang it up as a wreath. But I saw a really cool person who had taken grapevine wreaths in descending sizes. So it made what looks like a Christmas tree. Now, it's not like it's got branches and points and all that like a Christmas tree. It's just a pyramid shape or whatever that shape is called. And strung twinkle lights around it and just was, sitting there as a decoration. Made one. I made one because that was just like a cool idea. So, yeah, I get my inspirations at crafts fair, but I never would say to somebody, well, I'm not going to buy that because I can make it better. That's not the point. And I do always try to buy things at craft fair. It's everybody's got a budget. You gotta have to go within whatever that means, but I do try to support people who are crafting. I find it easier to do that than online. In other words, all these people that have Etsy stores and that sort of thing, it's more difficult for me to say, oh, I need that and it's a good thing to support and all that, then I'm actually there in person and see it in person. This smells good as I pull this stuff out, it's releasing the scent of the power scour that I used, which is from Unicorn. It smells good. Numi says, sometimes people don't seem to make sense. People have accused me of buying the things I sell from China. But I'm always sitting at my stall crafting, showing people how I make these things right there. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yes, you just got to be a duck. Let it roll off like water. I vended too in the past, but I haven't for a long time. I'm starting to think about doing it again because I'm now retired and would have time to prepare the uh, inventory, that sort of thing. But I don't want to do big ones. I was at a recently very, very small craft fair, and I talked to them about possibly having a booth next year because that's what I want to do. Something smaller. I'll tell you, if we had seen this sheep, I bet it was just full of this long locked wool, just, draping down there. Would have been adorable. Shetlands tend to be on the smaller size. They're not a big sheep, so that makes them cuter because they're smaller. But wherever this white came from, it probably must have been right around the shoulders where they would rub on a lot. I mean, this is not just from me washing. This had to have been clumped together on the fleece from what the sheep was doing, rubbing against and all that. Tangled. It's gotten itself all tangled. Also, there's these tips right here. They don't spin well into the yarn, so I take those off too. Most of the time. A lot of times they do just fall right off. They're considered dried out and broken. Kind of like the split ends on your hair, on a person's hair. And you can see them here, but when that combs out, a lot of that fiber will be okay, and what is dried like that comes out on the comb. So I don't worry about it when it's on the lock like that until I comb it. A lot of this is teaching people who watch the video later, will get this information. I have been teaching spinning and stuff about spinning for so many years that I can't not talk about it when I'm doing it. I talk about it when I'm doing it. That's what your hair looks like in the morning. Oh, that's the problem. The sheep had bedhead. Poor sheep. They do lay down to sleep. They do pasture down, so that might have been part of it. But this is just like snarled right here. It's just, I can't even pull it apart. Unfortunately. Nemi says, I'd love to teach one day. I only did some workshops for kids in summer camps when I showed them how to make those leather bracelets. Aren't those fun? I have memories of those. What they called lanterns. To put your ID tag on and stuff. I did not expect this to be quite the chore it was, because I've already done half this bag, and for some reason, the worst part got down at the bottom of it. It's what's left here. Worst being a relative term. There is nothing really bad about this. Just taking more work than I expected. It is so soft. It should look soft and fluffy to you, and it is. It is just so soft. I keep hitting the mic. I don't think it makes too much of noise, but sorry about that. I have this tablecloth on me because obviously stuff is falling out. And almost done here. It's like Velcro, it wants to stick to itself. Okay, let's see what's in the bag here. Oh, let me put these locks up. On the camera it looks white, but I can see the gray. So I just keep picking at it, getting that gray out of there. Oh, the air's running, but boy, it's warm in here. Sitting by the computer and the lights and everything. We're supposed to go at 100 today without heat index. We are in the dog days of summer. The one and only time I wish I lived in Australia, although then I'd be in the middle of winter, and I don't like middle of winter either. Right? Oh, we're oh, okay. See, you're down under. But yeah, if it's cold there, you're not feeling good. Go for the soup. Right now, what I'm making is fresh tomato soup because we're getting tomatoes, and I happen to like tomato soup. Okay. Once again, my tablecloth is sliding. Gotta fix that. Huh, a little bit of brown that is not this fleeces. It came from the clippers. That does happen. I'm not sure it even looked like wool, but I think it was. I have seen that color on a Shetland. It was all sort of a uh, tan brown with reddish hues. And I call it fawn because that was the color that rabbits were called when they had that tan reddish hue. I don't know what they call it in wool, but it's a very pretty color. Very, very pretty color. I worked up one fleece that was that color, and oh, it was such pretty yarn. Whoa, I hit the mic, sorry. It's just kind of right there in my way, unfortunately, so that you can hear me. I tend to be soft spoken when if I'm thinking about it, I'll raise my voice and talk. But if I'm working and focused on something else, I'm kind of soft spoken sometimes. Making progress. That's what I have left. A big clump and a little clump. I'll have to break that big clump into a couple. It normally doesn't take me quite this long to do this process. If I'm not trying to separate out colors, it goes way, way quicker. This is going very slow because of that. Just as a aside, I can talk a little bit about the Shetland breed. Of course, it is from the overseas Shetland area originally, but that was hundreds of years ago. And the United States Shetland is considered a rare breed, and it's based on how many they have registered. And when we talk about that, we talk about a purebred and registration and that sort of thing, so that you can have sheep fleece that is a combination of different breeds. But to get a pure, be labeled as, like, say, a Shetland, it's not supposed to have the other genetics in it. It's not always a guaranteed thing, and I'm not that picky about worrying about it. But one of the things that's happening right now is called Shave 'em to Save 'em by the United States Livestock Conservancy. And they are focusing on saving the breeds that are declining in numbers and becoming rare. And Shetland in the United States is one of those. So I always feel good if I buy a Shetland fleece. It's not that I have a guarantee that this is 100%, because I buy it. I'm not buying it from a certified breeder that they would need if they were going to buy, let's say, a ram or something that where the genetics have to be certified to be correct. They're just raising sheep, and they have what they call a Shetland. And so, it's okay for me as far as just spinning the fiber. It depends on the purpose and of the animal, and if it's just fiber, that's fine. If it's actually genetically to reproduce the breed and that sort of thing, they probably do better about keeping records and stuff like that. But even if these shepherds, these people kept records and do that, they're not going to give that to me buying the fiber. They're just going to give that to somebody who is buying the animal, right? It goes with the animal, not the fiber. But when they say this is Shetland and I buy it and it says this is Shetland, I'm pretty much feeling like, yes, it's Shetland genetics. And that rareness in the United States is something that I'm happy that I can support. I have a big bag of a kitchen-sized trash bag of fluff, white fluff. Alright, let's separate this into two here. I actually may get this done on stream, which would be make me very happy to be done with part of it, anyway. Fluffy! Yep, one of the joys of being a spinner and working with fiber. It's a wonderful tactile thing. And visual. Oh, thank you. Maybe that's a good thing. I forget. I do have water here. Thank you, thank you. Especially with being warm. I did. Did you look away? I drank some. Did you look away? I did drink some. I have this cool mug. If you're a coffee drinker, find the camera. First, I drink coffee, then I do all the things. That was my Mother's Day present this year from my daughter. Nice big mug, holds lots of water. Gets me through my 2-hour stream. Yeah, yeah. You sent the message because you reminded me. It was like, yeah, I haven't done that. I am still finding locks on this. This is pretty cool. right. Gonna take a quick little bit of a stretch, readjust break. Yeah. I do this when I spin, but this is just as bad. Repetitive, sitting in the same place and everything. More water. And I'm almost done, but my trash can is overflowing down here. There we go. I'm trying to keep this dusty stuff on this, and then I'll take it outside and shake it. Last one. There's a thing I do on my stream. Those who have lots of fiber yarn, whatever, know exactly what I'm talking about. Empty bag means something has been accomplished. Checking the time. We've got a car appointment at 2 o'clock our time to get the oil changed, so we have to make sure we get there and get to that appointment. Oh, this one is pretty clumped, just like the other one was. Work on it a little bit at a time here. Shetland is the fleece of choice among lace spinners, spinners who spin lace yarn, because the absolute challenge goal is to make a Shetland shawl that is so fine that it will pass through a wedding ring. That is a tradition in the area, and there are people who do that to this day. And I can see when you have fleece that is like this, with the very, very long staple, and you prepare it right and you spin it very, very thin. And of course, these people probably have a little more experience getting that style yarn. I spin all sorts of yarns, and so sometimes it's like hard to go and spin something specific, after you've been spinning for sweaters, say, or something like that for a while, your fingers need to get back into a different mode. But they may be only doing that. That's the only thing they do, and so they're, quite well versed in it. But still, even commercially, they have Shetland yarn that is made for cobweb, what they call cobweb shawls, and that's what passes through a wedding ring. Pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool. I have never made one, even with commercial yarn. But that's not to say I won't. It's always, one of those things that has been in the back of my mind. Nemi says the real challenge is finding a married man with really thick fingers. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't say it had to be a man or a woman's wedding ring, did it? I love that. You're the first person to think that and say that. I love that. Just find yourself a Highlander, right? Get yourself a Highlander. A lot of this is going into the mix colors and black all through it there. Work smarter, not harder. So true. Well, as with so many of my projects, they are years sometimes in the making. This is a very slow skill. And, they talk about slow food, and I mean, it's a term that is used for the whole process of whatever it is you're doing takes a long time, and spinning definitely fits into that. I don't count my progress in Final Yarn by any means. My everyday progress notebook is, exactly this kind of stuff. The next step. Yeah, the next step. Makes you philosophical, which is why I have the name Yarn Spinner's Tales. I talk about this kind of stuff in sort of a philosophical way. Which is okay, except that everybody has their own philosophy, so not trying to come across as opinionated, just stating some facts. It does make me sad how much goes into the trash. I could use it for things. It's clean and, it's soft and everything. I could use it for stuffing or any number of things. I can felt with it. And I do keep a fair amount of what I don't spin for that reason. But it's a bag. It's yet another bag of something that has to have something done to it. And after a while, I'm like, okay, I have a limit to my capacity here. And I have to make decisions what stays and what goes. And it kind of depends on if hubby's around too. He can't stand seeing me throw things away. He knows I pay for it, right? He can't stand seeing me throwing it away, so I have to stick it in a bag so he thinks I'm using it for something. But after years and years and years of spinning, I know what it's going to do to the yarn if I leave what I'm pulling out in there. It's usable yarn. It's not the yarn I'm trying to make with this particular fiber. And that's something that spinners and any craftsman gets to the point that they recognize and know for their craft, right? What makes it the best? All right. Got a little bit of stuff on me here, but not bad, not bad. And this is green, and in that my camera, I gotta check the settings. I'm not so cool about. Gonna go to the full face. Okay, I'm not so cool about camera settings and things like that on all of this, but it's not really a matter what color that is. The white shows up as white. I am going to call it a stream. I'm a little bit early, but that's all right. I have, of course, the Yarn Spinner's Tales is on Twitch, and if you go to there, it'll have my schedule. And Nemi, it has been wonderful talking to you. Thank you. You hung out there with me. Everybody else went and did something else. So I've really enjoyed talking to you. And I hope you have a good rest of the week and a weekend. I will be back on Friday evening for a spinning and chat. But in between there, you can catch my little 30-minute meditative spinnings. They are just music. I don't talk. If you can't hear my spinning wheel, all you see is the fiber in my hands. You don't see my face or anything like that. I do it intentionally as a quiet point for me and for everybody else that's watching. So, see you all whenever, and for sure, Friday evening. Bye. Oh, let me see if I can raid somebody. I know there's only one. Let me see if I can raid somebody. I always forget to raid, so I am going to see who is on Twitch. I love getting raided, but it kind of works both ways. If you don't raid, that people don't raid you. Alright, KB is on. We'll go raid KB. And I think she's doing crocheted Pokemon. Neme, you might want to stick around. Okay. Alright, quit the music. And yeah, they are cute. She's been doing a fun thing. There we go. Alright. Counting down. There we go. See you later. Bye.